Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Tampa Bay. We are live on location at the Tampa Bay History Center. I'm your host, Brian Burns. I'm joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Molly Barbieri.
Hey everyone, welcome to the History Center.
And we are delighted to have the president and CEO of the Tampa Bay History Center, Audrey Chapuis. Audrey, welcome to Tampa.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here and so happy to welcome you both to the History Center. Thank you.
Absolutely. It has been, I imagine, kind of a whirlwind for you. You spent the last 11 years of your life in Paris, and you came here in December of 2025 to take over as the president and CEO. What has that transition been like for you, and what have been your, I guess, impressions initially of Tampa?
So I moved for the job, and Tampa was a huge draw for me. So I was the executive director of the American Library in Paris, which is quite similar, in fact, in its mission and vision to the History Center. And I was drawn by the museum's vision and mission and team and Tampa itself. So I'm from Austin, Texas originally. And so it's been, I'd say, the softest landing that one could imagine coming back home to the US and Tampa specifically. I'd only been here once before I started the interview process, and that was 20 years ago. I had a completely different vision of Tampa. So I arrived, I was staying in Water Street, close to the History Center, and I thought, this is not what I remembered. The area is just so dynamic, so vibrant. There's so much happening around the Riverwalk, and it's been such a delightful surprise to see how much innovation and collaboration there is across Tampa Bay. So yeah, it's been a wonderful whirlwind, I would say.
Yeah, downtown's really flourished in the past 5 years. So I can imagine your wow factor from 20 years of not being here. So welcome back.
Thank you.
I've got to ask, 20 years ago, what were you doing here? What brought you to Tampa that initial time?
Just a weekend away. So the airport has always been good.
Right.
We love our airport.
We
love our airport.
I flew from Boston to meet family just because it was an easy place to kind of meet in the middle. And we had a nice little weekend. But again, like nothing compared to what it is today. And people often talk about where the History Center was 20 years ago. We were the, they say, the archipelago. There was the arena, the History Center, and the aquarium. And now, of course, like, you know, we're one gorgeous tree among this very full forest. So obviously that's really exciting for us to be able to capitalize on this growth.
Absolutely. So I used to work at the Tampa Bay Lightning previous to this. And 10 years ago when I worked there, all these surrounding areas were dirt fields. There were lots. That's where people parked for games and where we parked as staff for, normal operations, game days and whatnot. So for us to see the transformation just in the last 10 years or so has been amazing. I can imagine someone stepping into it 20 years later. It's got to be incredible.
Absolutely. And, that was one of the things that drew me away from Paris. And people have been like, wow, that is such a strange transition to go from Austin, Texas to Boston to Europe to Chicago to Paris and now Tampa. And I'm like, so far, Tampa's my favorite spot. I've got to say, the food scene, the culture and art scene, the people, the fact that there's this great mix of natives and people coming from all over the world. It's quite international, and I would say the social calendar is almost too full. I was saying every night there's about 10 things that you could do. So that's obviously a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have. We always got something going on, something for everyone. So you're now at the Tampa Bay History Center, and I know your kind of leadership style is to take what something is and really grow with that and kind of keep the cultural integrity of an organization. So how is your vision kind of forming now that you've been here for about, 5 months, I think? So yeah, what's that been like?
Thank you. And that was beautifully said, by the way, a perfect encapsulation. So, I've been very lucky to land in a place that, if you're looking at organizational development, some institutions, they need a lot of tender loving care. It's a turnaround situation. That is not at all the History Center's case. I'm coming into something so incredibly strong board, strong governance, strong team, strong mission, amazing building, amazing location. So it's all about leveraging preserving that for the future, making sure that everybody knows that the History Center is for them. I think we can overcome a little bit of resistance. So I would say people who know us love us. Like once you step foot in here, you're like, I get it and I love it. Our ratings are consistently incredibly high. But if you don't know us, then there might be a slight intimidation factor. Like, what is a history center? What is there to do? You know, is there interactives? Are there things for people of all ages? And yes, so it's getting the word out, making sure that people know that it's accessible, it's for them, and I want their stories to be reflected in the History Center. Think about the next generation, you know, 100 years from now, your story needs to be represented here.
Absolutely.
And Tampa's history is so remarkable. I think people around the world, they might not know all of these different multicultural threads that go into the tapestry of Tampa. And you just keep pulling on the threads and it's so fascinating. You know, we have about 100,000 artifacts and each artifact tells a story. And I thought, I mean, that is just cultural riches beyond belief.
Right.
So it's all about partnerships. So working with the other cultural organizations around Tampa to do joint programming, get outside of our walls. You know, I'm thinking beyond the galleries, activating partnerships outside so that people they know us, they love us, and then they're even more likely to come in and experience the galleries.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome. And I can tell you guys have been really capitalizing on those outside experiences. I mean, I know you do the collaborative event where it's a history lesson on the craft cruise ship, the craft dining cruise ship, and it's like a history cruise. And you can learn while you're dining and enjoying the beautiful views of downtown Tampa and the Riverwalk. Like, what's better?
It's a natural marriage.
Literally, what's better?
Yes.
Like you had mentioned, like getting people into the History Center is one of the biggest challenges. And once they're here, they love it and they want to come back. So how do you combat that? How do you, and I know you talked a little bit about some of the things where you go and do outreach within the community, but what are some other ways that you're kind of letting people experience the History Center so they know about it and then they want to keep coming back over and over again?
Yeah, so, well, right now we do walking tours, which is a great way to kind of activate the community. We also do fun things like history happy hours, often aligned with our temporary programs and exhibits. And we also do pop-ups. So my vision for the next phase is to do more history pop-ups that align with all of the different cultural goings-on of Tampa so that the History Center is always there. So you can imagine mobile history labs, that we're going into schools, but that's the next phase.
Okay.
You also have a lot of temporary exhibits. So tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So we want to give people reasons to come back again and again. So yes, I think you can come and see the ship every year. Absolutely. Bring your kids. But then we want, you know, almost every 6 months to give people a reason to come back and explore something completely new. So right now we have a temporary exhibit on Tampa Bay Downs and horse racing in Tampa, and also one about guitars. So it's the history of the U.S. told through guitars as a cultural artifact. So I can show you.
That's awesome. I mean, love the horses because the Derby's coming up. Perfect timing. But let's go check out the guitar history. All right, we're here, America at the Crossroads, the Guitar and Changing Nation, the touring exhibit.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
We're super excited about this exhibit, and in fact, we've extended it due to popular demand.
Yay.
So we were going to close it, and now through the summer, it's open, and it's now the cornerstone of our America 250 programming, and it appeals to everyone. So sadly, I'm not a musician, but I love it. I'm not a guitar aficionado, but I love it because of its tie to American history. So it basically tells the story of our nation through the guitar as a cultural artifact. And one might argue that the guitar is the most iconic symbol of America. And of course, it has its roots from Spanish settlers who brought over some of the precursor instruments that have evolved over time. So I'll take you through, show you some of my favorites, and I think you'll recognize some. Again, I don't know if you're musicians, but I think that you'll enjoy some of these objects.
Not personally, but I'm really excited to explore.
I'm not a musician. I played piano for like 5 years when I was a kid. I can play one song now.
See, and
Is it Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star?
It's the West Virginia Friends song.
Oh, okay.
See, and guitars are so wonderfully portable compared to a piano.
It
so,
is.
there you go.
Yeah, and they're really great decoration, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
really cool.
even that point of like obviously music is an auditory art form, but because the guitar is so iconic, it's become part of a visual medium as well. So
Yeah.
it tells that story.
That's a really good point. I like that.
And one thing before we get started, you said this is going to be extended because initially this was only going to go through May 3rd, so it's going to go beyond that.
Exactly, until the end of August. So you have more time to discover it, and we have a lot of ancillary programs as well. So kids events, so a lot of reasons to come in, enjoy the day at the History Center. It's not a separate ticket, so your gallery entrance gets you into guitars.
Awesome.
So I say come spend the day, have lunch at the Columbia Cafe, take your family, and I've seen people spend hours in here just diving into each object in the text. So make sure you have enough time and spend the day.
That sounds like the best day ever.
Yeah.
Great.
Let's go take a look.
Let's. So I have to show you this one. It's one of my favorites. It's the Gibson harp-guitar. Have you ever seen anything like it?
That is wild.
Yeah. So speaking of, this one is a little bit less portable than your average Telecaster, but it was actually displayed in some homes, almost like a piece of decorative furniture. So you know, it's very compelling.
How exactly would you play that? Like, are you strumming the harp strings like you would the guitar strings, or?
I have.
How does that work?
I have no idea. You need a lot of dexterity, and it sounds like 4 hands, so got to be pretty creative.
That is unique. I've never seen anything like that before.
And then I have 2 favorites over here. Are you Elvis Presley fans?
I think everybody is.
So
This Elvis fan.
this one was manufactured after Elvis's death and given to his estate, but he did play guitars with this kind of decoration and covering, and you can see his silhouette on the guitar head there.
Oh yeah.
And so it's D28, the Martin Dreadnought. Dreadnought because it's almost like a battleship. It's so huge. So, and the 28 actually shows the degree of decorations on the guitar, and I think it goes up to 100. Wow. So, and this one is pretty spectacular. So imagine the 100.
Yeah. And this almost looks like a leather covering.
It
that's
is leather.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And so it helps, you know, protect the guitar from very enthusiastic strumming. And here's another favorite. It's one of the first electric guitars. You can see it's quite modest in its shape.
Yeah.
But in the 1930s, they started to develop techniques for electrifying this sound because actually Hawaiian music started to become very popular. So they would gather in much larger music halls and they needed to amplify the sound. And so here's one of those first guitars.
I love that it's called a frying pan.
The frying pan.
It's really symbolic.
Yep. And then I'll take you around the corner. So this is where you start to see some of the iconic guitars that you are recognizable still today.
Yeah.
So the Fender Stratocaster here. Look at the horns, look at that gorgeous mint color. Like this just reads 1950s and 1960s to me. And what's remarkable, so if you think about how objects have evolved over time, guitars, they've really stayed quite the same compared to the computer, the car, our telephones, but this iconic shape, it stands the test of time.
Yeah.
Really does.
It's almost perfect in its original conception.
And that's something a modern musician would look at that and they would want to play that because it's such an iconic guitar that just getting the opportunity to play something like that would excite them.
Yes. And so what's great about this exhibit, again, if you have no interest in guitars, which, I mean, everybody does, but if you didn't, it's still telling the story of the nation. So think about the generational divide between, you know, the 1950s and 1960s and how crucial music was to that. Music has defined generations over time. So you can read all of the panels here about the evolution through war, migration, racial divides, conflict, and creative expression. So there's a lot to learn as well as just, you know, pure enjoyment looking at these objects.
What would be the most modern guitar that you
Oh
have
yeah,
here?
I'll take you around the corner. Well, this one, I hope that you recognize. Now, bonus points if you can name a musician that this reminds you of.
I mean, to me, that says Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger.
that's
but he's not
true.
the guitarist. Who that? Keith Richards would be the guitarist.
So very, very, very good guess. This is Eddie Van Halen's style. So they manufactured the guitar precisely in the way that he had put together various elements. They called it the Frankenstrat. And he's the one who did, like, they even have like cigarette burns and tape to make it look really used. And that's when, you know, start to think about MTV and what a visual medium music was becoming. And every rocker wanted a guitar like Eddie Van Halen.
So was this his actual guitar that he's played?
No, this was manufactured in that style, but in that period.
And they manufactured like this dent right
exactly.
here? Kind of okay.
It's almost like the distressed jeans guitar style.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. And then we've got some very, I'd say, maybe less iconic, but still curiosities. So we have an aluminum guitar. Yeah.
We got to talk about the air guitar with nothing there. That's brilliant.
When I hear people chuckling in the exhibit, I know that they're looking at the air guitar. Gotta fit in a pun, right?
Yes, of course. That's actually really, really hilarious.
It's pretty cute. Yeah.
The air guitar is an guitar that is played.
You know, we can
actual physical instrument.
we can all aspire to be musicians, right? With the air guitar.
That's really funny.
And this one's beautiful.
Isn't that? Yeah, the aluminum guitar, again, just gorgeous as an object. And, you know, so think of that, the 70s and 80s and the iconography of those times, like the futurism and, you know, ideas of modernity that are encapsulated in such an object. Likewise, you've got the perfect 10 here. Look at these lines, just spectacular. And then perhaps a little bit less aesthetically pleasing, but it certainly tells you the story of an era. This just reads 1980s to me. It's a combined guitar and synthesizer.
This is like Revenge of the Nerds when they're doing the scene at the very end and they're playing that song like Poindexter. I could see playing this guitar.
Good cultural reference. Yeah. Oh, no. Pop culture, you could take a very deep dive in this exhibit.
Yeah.
Guitar and learn how to play and, you know, have those rock star fantasies.
Yeah, it's kind of right out of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
This is my rock star fantasy right here. I was a big Nirvana fan growing up, so when I think of guitars, I think of Kurt Cobain playing and then smashing the guitar after the set is over.
Yeah. So a little sacrosanct, but that's part of the entertainment, right? Like, again, that visual medium, and musicians got more and more adept at using that as part of their performance.
It is really interesting to see Allie and AJ, like that was the type of music that I listened to in 2005. So it's just like interesting to see how music has changed and the characteristics of like music videos and guitars. Because I mean, the design elements are different, but like you said, the structural integrity of it has kind of stayed decently the same over time. And
Absolutely.
I feel like to how America is, like there's a standard element of it, but it's also changed culturally so much.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, America is the story of change.
It really
and
is.
So it's the moment, that's why it's the cornerstone of our America 250 programming, because it's a time to reflect, like, what does it mean to be America and what is the nation that we're building for the next generation? What kind of stories are we going to tell? So if this can be a moment, a reason to pause and reflect and take in these generations of change, you know, all the better. And it's a place to gather and, you know, start a conversation.
Right, love that. All right, so this has been an amazing temporary exhibit that you've shown us. Would you mind showing us one of your more permanent exhibits? Maybe your newest one, possibly?
Absolutely, yes.
That'd be great.
We launched this just a couple of months ago, so another reason to come back to the History Center.
Okay, so we're here at Tampa Bay Timeline. This is your newest permanent exhibit. When did this exhibit come on display?
Just a few months ago, and it was supported by the county, and we're super thrilled by it because, so I think people can get overwhelmed by the fact that we've got 3 floors of exhibit. There's so much to see. People are very busy, and I say, if you've got a lunch break, you can take a coffee and then come, you get 10 minutes and you get an overview of Tampa Bay's entire history. You see we've got artifacts from thousands of years ago. So it really is telling the entire timeline in you know, a few objects here that are iconic and meaningful to Tampa Bay. So, you know, as we were talking about earlier, so many people are moving from all over the world, and I think they sense that Tampa is special, but they don't know why. And this is a great overview and summary of why it's special, what makes Tampa, Tampa, and of course, it's all in our history. So what I like to show here is the first, so in 1880, the population was 9,358.
Okay.
Clearly not the case today.
Right.
So it has a little snapshot over the decades of how the population has continued to boom. And then we have these spectacular artifacts that are in our permanent collection that we're highlighting here. So, for example, from 1904, we have the first Gasparilla Pirate Festival and Florida State Fair invitation right here. And then here we start to get into the era where people start to recognize things. The Bucks are coming from 1974.
Yeah, it looks like a bumper sticker that you'd see on someone's car in the 80s.
Exactly. Or Tampa International Airport from 1971. So a lot of people we've taken through here, they're like, I remember that sign.
Yeah.
Busch Gardens from 1959. And I love this quote, obviously, from the 1950s. It says, there is a very definite need for a large and suitable museum for Hillsborough County, and here we are, flourishing very well. And then, of course, we had to end the exhibit here with not just Phoebe from the airport, but a statue of Don Cesar from the Hotel Don Cesar. So you can see here Tampa's population in 2025, over 3 million and growing. So we will be buttressing this with a digital timeline as well, because there are so many stories to tell in addition to what's here.
Well, a couple things that I'm noticing, 1970, the population, 1.1 million, and then up to 3.4 million that we see today. That's quite a jump.
Absolutely, and as we said, continuing to grow.
And is this one of the original bolts from the old Skyway Bridge?
Yes.
Okay. And then another thing, the COVID mask. I mean, you don't think of, I mean, we're so close to when COVID happened that you wouldn't think of COVID being in a history museum, but I mean, that is a part of our history, and this is something that 50, 100 years from now, people are going to want to know what was COVID like because they didn't experience it maybe. And you've got the mask here to kind of, everybody knows that what that mask is that went through that.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's, it gives people a moment to reflect that, yeah, we're living history now. So what stories are we telling? How do we preserve those? We're thinking about the artifacts that will tell that story, as you said, a generation from now. So yes, this is a little bit fresh for us. You know, it feels like not so long ago that we were impacted by the pandemic. And we're just starting to scratch the surface of how that's shaped us sociologically and culturally. So we'll continue to tease that out.
Audrey, this has been amazing. Thank you for showing us around your museum. Welcome to Tampa Bay.
Thank
We hope you're
you.
enjoying it. We hope you continue to enjoy it, and you'll be here a very long time.
Thank you. Absolutely. We'll come back again and again, and I hope we give you lots of reasons to, you know, come back and have lunch, explore, and tell your story here too.
Yeah, we're going to have to take you up on that perfect day of going to the Columbia Cafe and then coming over here for a couple hours, checking out the guitar exhibit, really delving into those. I want to see more about that air guitar. That was really speaking to me. But thank you.
See you again soon.
This has been another episode of Unlocking Tampa Bay. Join us next time as we unlock more treasures around Tampa Bay.